I keep it 100. The Golden State Warriors traded away their successor to Stephen Curry and D'Angelo Russell for Andrew Wiggins and the number 2 overall pick, which turned into be James Wiseman. Now, James Wiseman looks like he has a lot of potential. I don't know how great he's going to be. He looks like he can be a athletic rim runner who has the ability to maybe shoot consistently at the second zone on the basketball court. Maybe someday. Right now, he's showing like he has a set shot. I don't know how great he's going to be. Maybe at his best, he could be potentially a more athletic version of Chris Bosh, maybe. But when we look at the Golden State Warriors roster right now, and we look at Stephen Curry, we look at Steve Kerr, we know they're missing Draymond Green. The roster that Stephen Curry has is good enough to get to the playoffs. We've seen James Harden, we've seen LeBron James, we've seen Russell Westbrook take lesser rosters to the playoffs than the roster that Stephen Curry is playing with right now. So it's no really any excuses that I want to really hear from people that are talking about, well, Stephen Curry doesn't have enough help. Stephen Curry, feeling bad for Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry is a superstar, he's a two-time MVP. He's the first unanimous MVP in the history of the game. He has to get it done. You know, superstar players make other players better. And you sometimes the situation that you're going to be in is not going to be the situation that you may be accustomed to. But if you are a true superstar, you have to make sure that you do everything in your power to help the team that you're on succeed. Now, I've said this in a past podcast. There's a difference between situational type of superstars and any situation type of superstar. Stephen Curry is a situational type of superstar, and there's nothing wrong with that, which means that when all the pieces are perfect, when you have Klay Thompson, when you have Draymond Green, when you have Kevin Durant, when you have the great offensive ball movement and it's flowing the right way, and you have all this gravity when things are going well, and you kind of can take the ceiling off the team and just make them unstoppable, that's great. But when those things aren't great, and when those you don't have a Klay Thompson, you're missing a Draymond Green, you're missing a Kevin Durant, and you have just solid starters on your team, you're a situational type of player compared to guys like James Harden, guys like LeBron James, and guys like even Russell Westbrook, who are floor risers, are going to elevate their team no matter who's around them, because that's just the type of players that they are, and that's just the type of game that they have and play style that they have. And Stephen Curry, as great as he is, he's a hybrid point guard, meaning that he's not your traditional point guard. He plays kind of better off the ball. But what happens when you take Klay Thompson out of the situation and they don't have Klay Thompson, that means that teams are going to blitz Stephen Curry constantly, some just like they did James Harden, and he has to figure out what he's going to do about it. You know, this whole passing the ball and not taking mid-range jump shots. He's coming off the pick and roll and he's passing the ball to the open man. And that's when it comes to Steve Kerr is going to have to figure out. It's just like you don't have the same roster that you have. Like you can't expect the guys that you have on your team to play that type of ball movement style, that type of offense that Golden State Warriors is known for, because you don't have that type of roster. Even though Stephen Curry is that type of player, but it's like you got to kind of figure out what type of offense you can create that's going to help the whole team be successful and not just Stephen Curry. That style of offense that they're playing right now that they're accustomed to is not going to help Stephen Curry right now, because he's going to have to be a ball dominant player. He's going to have to be like a Luka Doncic, a James Harden, LeBron James. He's going to have to take 25 to 30 shots. He has to average 30 plus a game to get this team over the hump, to get this team into the playoffs. And to be honest, right now, if you look at this roster, they're a 4 to 7 seed in the Western Conference easily. They should be, with Stephen Curry on their team. And Draymond's going to come. He's going to make things easier, I hope, for Stephen Curry. They're going to need Draymond to be that 2016 type of Draymond Green, the 2012 to 2016 type of version of Draymond Green that we saw when those Defensive Player of the Year awards and stuff like that. That's the type of Draymond Green they're going to need for this kind of roster that they have. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that when we look at Stephen Curry and we look at him being a top 5 player in the game, and regardless of the situation he's in right now, he has to get it done. Because I've heard countless times when we talk about Bradley Beal, we talk about Zach LaVine, I heard people kill Trae Young for having terrible. Those 3 players I heard people kill those players, saying empty stats, they're not really superstars, they can't get their team over the humps. And Stephen Curry has a better team than all those guys. Curry's gonna have to come out like he did in the fourth quarter against the Chicago Bulls the other night and basically put the team on his back and not care about if he's missing shots He has to just focus on taking the shots. 25 to 30 shots per game is what he's going to have to do, because it doesn't matter, if he hits a lot, it doesn't matter if he misses a lot. The team's going to go as you're going to take them, because you're the best player on their team. You can't afford this luxury to come out and play the first 3 quarters and pass the ball around and pass up open shots, regardless if it's not just a 3-pointer, passing up mid-range shots, 15-footers coming off that pick and roll. You got to let that go. You got to let that fly. Saw that with the Chicago Bulls, which is one of the worst teams in the NBA right now. He's going to even have to do that, and it's going to even be even harder when he's playing some of the contender teams, some of the playoff teams, that just playoff caliber teams, that he's going to have to face during the regular season. So he needs to get that in his mind already established, and have this mentality that every quarter I got to come out and kill. I can't come out and be timid. I can't come out and be passive, trying to get my other guys involved. Once you're, sometimes what happens is when you have a superstar player and they're cooking and they're going to work, your teammates will feed off of that energy that you bring. When you're killing and you're bringing it every night, that's what James Harden happened with James Harden, the Houston Rockets. We saw that happen with Russell Westbrook when OKC once Kevin Durant left. Sometimes you got to be that main catalyst from the get-go on a night in and night out basis, and your team is going to follow you, because they're going to see that you're giving your all, you're going to work, you're giving 110%, and they're going to follow you, instead of trying to, you know what, I'm going to try to get my teammates involved early on, and then I'm going to try to, settle into the game. That can work when you got Klay Thompson, a healthy Draymond Green, a healthy Andre Iguodala, a Kevin Durant, a Sean Livingston, a Nick Young, who's an outside sniper. When you got a group like that, a team like that, that's not going to work with this team that they have right now.